Shots are through the wall, not quite hitting, and there's the kill. Cruz falls to Chew.
Nev puts his face in a giant hole to throw a smoke canister. Not how you do that. Every player on the side.
Play it down. He's not going to be able to. It's the frack. Down to the final win.
Some of those operators who can really give you trouble.
Just to the side of Project Bandits. They're now starting to retake all the way up through the mirror window, but there's one on highway. He gets called out.
Mr. Alexander leaves me without words because he's killing people left and right.
Rowdy, and now Chew finds himself left alone, brings it to the 1v1, shuts down that way as well.
Flame Bolt moves forward and it launches the bandit into clear and plain sightline of the Lion. That doesn't matter at all.
Very bad. He finds two. Can he kill both? He can. Butcher's just better. He is activated on the think of gameplay right now. This is why everyone loves Minka. Oh, nice shot from Butcher. He's going crazy in a squad.
Coming through, they didn't actually drone all the way up through and understand what the setup looks like. The library walk-ups are able to do things like just fall from the site here, and especially with that sense wall coming out, really stop him.
It could be anywhere you can find the first one on the yarn for 5 seconds.
Yeah, today's match should at least produce some excitement for us. We've got Superlight versus Zelos. It's the last upper bracket quarterfinals game left standing here. The winner of this game will go on to play Leviathans later this week in the upper bracket semifinals. So there's a good amount on the line here for these two teams. Obviously, neither team wanting to go down into that lower bracket.
Yeah, we're in a tough time here. Is the upper bracket kind of provides a safety net. You can lose if you're in the upper bracket. However, if you're in the lower bracket, you can't lose. You get eliminated if you lose in the lower bracket. So there are trade-offs. I wouldn't want to play Leviathan personally. I'm sure both these teams are capable of doing it though, so we'll see how that plays out.
Yeah, Leviathans definitely look pretty good just from the regular regulation and just going into this playoffs. They've definitely been on a little bit of a good streak there. I believe we're almost ready to take a look at what our maps are going to be for this best of 3. Hopefully we get some interesting ones. It looks like we're going to be starting on Chalet, then Cafe, and ending on Borrigan should we go that far. What do you think of this map pool, Ellie?
Default.
That's a good way to describe it.
That's all it is. These are maps where I'm pretty sure if I showed a baby these maps, they'd know all the callouts. Everyone's played these maps, and just default, man. It's the interesting things were bans well before we got to the decider, but it is interesting the Clubhouse was banned first, is that's like the default map in my opinion for this game. I often refer to it as Rainbow Six Siege's Dust 2, just because it's been around for so long and hasn't had many significant changes over its lifespan, so it's interesting to see that one get banned first, and then Oregon get picked as the decider.
Yeah, it's really weird because I agree with you. Clubhouse is like the staple Rainbow Six competitive map. It's been here forever, and for some reason this Xenon season we just haven't seen it a whole lot. We've replaced it with way too many Oregons and Chalets. So yeah, those coming out as kind of the standard staple of our league. The Cafe though hasn't been shown up too many times this season. I know Stickula doesn't really like this map. I kind of do. I love the dynamic that the attackers and defenders have. It's really fun to play. It's very hard to watch from a top down, so I get it from that perspective. But there's a lot of really cool strategies that you can play on it, and there's a lot of communication demands as well. If you miscoordinate your team there, you're going to have issues with your hard breachers, your soft breachers, just everything on the attacking side. It's a good competitive skill check kind of map. So it's interesting that we see Zealous be the team that picks that up, since they are the 4th seed coming to this map, whereas Superlight, a team that very much so fragged their way into the top spot of their group.
Yeah, it is. Cafe is a very interesting map in my opinion, as it requires you to really manage your utility well if you're planning a strategy around it for both attack and defense. As you can't really ignore the other 3 floors, especially if you aren't playing the top floor.
Right.
Like, you'll see teams oftentimes try to bunker on kitchen, and it's just like putting a kick Musan in your back. Like, you can, but don't.
Yeah, that's definitely a good way to put it. It requires a lot of roaming, a lot of moving around, but we're not going to be starting there. We're going to be starting it with Chalet, which should be getting into in about 30 seconds or so. Chalet, a very dynamic map. There's a lot of moving pieces kind of going around. It's a lot of space to take gunfights because the actual bomb sites themselves are usually pretty undefendable, so you have to take some extra space on the map. I think Piano upstairs is the most notable one, where if you're not holding Piano, you can't really contest the bomb site itself. Obviously, with something like Bar Games, you have that top blue, top mezzanine shield that you have to worry about. But yeah, this is a map that requires a lot of extensions and a lot of forward thinking and utility usage on the attacking side. So I believe we're about ready to get into the game.
We're gonna get bans going here. We're gonna have Superlight starting on the defense and Zelos starting on the attack here. And I'm expecting a Flores ban, maybe a Thatcher if they're feeling extra defaulty. You could get something like Glaz banned if one team is feeling really, really petty, but we'll have to see.
I can't remember which team it was. I think it was Outlast on one of their basement attacks was playing Glaz and Sens plus an Osa, but the Flores is going to be that first operator removed. You mentioned it, not too surprising with how prevalent shields are on this map. Leaving Flores in just makes those shields that much worse and more of a liability than an extra bunker of protection. Zealous' attacking ban going to be coming up here momentarily. It's probably going to be just Thatcher, and yeah, it is just a pretty standard ban for a pretty standard map pool so far.
So, yeah, I mean, we might get like a Mira, maybe like a Cade if they're feeling like slightly adventurous, but only like target adventurous.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a Mira. I could have never predicted this. I could have never foreseen this coming. Mira is exceptionally powerful on a lot of areas on this map. You can really like throw things at the other team from those Mira windows and make them very uncomfortable. It's just good ban. I appreciate it. Good job. And then a Valkyrie. A little bit of what you wouldn't expect, but Valkyrie is good on this map. She is good on most maps with corners.
Yeah, especially the ceiling on this map just beams everywhere. Just a ton of space to hide those Valkyrie cameras behind. Some notable operators, I think, being left open. You see one being picked there. Azami, that newest operator, part of that newest pool that got added to the competitive scene for this season. Very powerful operator on this map in general. There's a lot of just stuff everywhere that you can attach Azami's off to and give yourself so much space to work with and deny a lot of angles from windows. I think that big window in Master upstairs is one of the most notable ones that she can block angles off from, and there's so many different spots that you can throw those to give yourself more cover than you normally would be allowed to have on this map. And another operator that kind of snuck through, it's that Kaid. He's been a pretty default ban across so many maps. Obviously on this map he doesn't have as much presence with the fact that most teams just open the hatches on the majority of the sites, but yeah, he's still an operator that you see get picked up quite a bit when he's left available.
It makes it very difficult to open hatches with consistency if one of your players isn't good at maverick tricking, which is why he's usually either banned or brought all the time. And with Thatcher off of the board especially, we're going back to the Azami pick. The most dangerous thing about her is the fact that she can change the battleground of a gunfight with essentially just the flick of her wrist. She can create new cover or even destroy cover with her impact grenades at a moment's notice, provided she has the utility in pocket, and that can be genuinely devastating to your chances at winning if the other player knows what they're doing at all.
Yeah, we're about 30 seconds into our first round here, and I want to touch about these operators that Zelos has brought out. Look at that lineup, Jackal and Nomad, just so much being invested into removing these roamers, as well as keeping the roamers away once they establish this control. So maybe Zelos has done some of their homework, and they know that Superlight likes to get aggressive, and just denying them space to kind of take these gunfights with, to swing into them. It could prove to be worthwhile here, especially from Spooman on that Nomad. Just trying to lock Superlight down so that you can take the gunfights on your term could prove to be a valuable facet here. We're about a minute in, and oh boy, Goyen just sprays that sledge down through the wall. They didn't destroy the top blue cams, so he's going to capitalize on that infill. You gotta destroy those cams before you throw the nades.
Shooting defaults is important. You know what else is important? Nomad, who's just shot by Capsule. So we're less than a minute and a half into the game. You've already lost your vert play and your flank watch from Zelos, which means that trying to take above the site isn't going to do very much. And Coin's going to get another pick onto Mark. There's the hard breach as he has his back turned to a gunfight in the Capsule. Is going to see for bronze, leaving, I don't want to try to pronounce that, in a 1v5 here. He does have the Finka, so he has a solid gun to try to clutch this out, but he has the mute coming up. Capsule is going to just cap him, ending us with a flawless round for the first one.
Yeah, it felt like that that map didn't even get started. Cohen just kind of destroyed that entry through a soft wall. They didn't break that information. I think they also had an echo cam up there, just really providing that extra information to get it done. Plus, players like Spadiga just not being able to play entry on the Finka. The operator that's defined by how well you can entry on, just not being able to follow up Wilson on that sledge is a little bit of a concerning start. And I also think just the breakneck pace that Superlight was able to bring out is a little bit concerning, I think, just as a starting point to go from here if you're Zealous. Obviously, you brought Nomad to slow it down, but it didn't really stop their tempo at all if they're coming from in front of you. Obviously, Nomad stopping it from behind. I'd almost want to see them switch that to a gridlock if they're trying to stop people from running at them from the front.
I am inclined to agree. I actually do think that Gridlock is the best flank watch for this map, as you can cover an entire, staircase in the track stingers, and it becomes very awkward to walk up them, and you can just kind of set up an ambush. But you talked about the entry, and looking at the stats earlier, everyone on Superlight, even the lowest rated player, Floofs, has a positive entry KD.
Oh, wow.
Almost no one on Zelos has a positive entry KD. In fact, if I go pull up Spadiga here, he's one of the only people with a positive entry KD. So we're not lacking too much, but he didn't really demonstrate that that last round. It's as the Finka, it's your job to take space so your team can do what they need to, right? And that wasn't really what happened. You shouldn't be the last alive as one of the entries.
Yeah, a little bit of, I think, just discoordination between how they were stacking up there and just not being able to identify that echo utility on the ceiling, just being able to call out that second player as they tried to step up into the hallway. Just a little bit of miscoordination and mistakes happening that can cause so much trouble within a round of Rainbow Six. We are into our second round. It is a barred defense here. Zealous just getting themselves stacked up here on their main entry. They haven't stepped foot into the building at all so far. They're just doing some droning for an entire minute, and then there they go. They find out the Capsule is lurking around in this area, so it's going to slow down their entry even more before they even start getting in.
I really like the way the Capsule's playing this, as he's not playing aggressively enough that he's going to throw his life away needlessly, but he's playing aggressively enough that they have to be worried about him. Like, they're afraid that he's going to peek, even if he never does. Just that being in the back of your mind is gonna mess with the way you take the map. And now that Kira's here as well, he can back up Capsule. Actually, Capsule's just run away, and doesn't look like they knew that Kira was here, and he can just sit in a rat corner that they don't know exists, and get the opening pick onto the ace and drop the diffuser. It does look like he might be refragged here, but no, he actually is refragged by Bronze, so we have the first pick for Zelos of this game. However, that was a pretty good trade if you're Superlight.
Yeah, especially when you consider time taken for that trade. They're 2 minutes down and they haven't even made it up to Piano yet. And they still have so many ADSs to burn out here, as well as just all of these players to contest. And when you're ARC playing against Superlight, they are just going to swing you. Look at that smoke. He's just aggressively peeking windows from the inside of Library. This is not your noble smoke player. That's Cohen. And he will just get in your face, throw smoke canisters at Piano. And the clock now under a minute. These players on Zelos have got to get a move on if they want to even see a portion of this bomb site before the round timer just hits 000s.
So much time wasted on the other side of the building with Capsule, only to yield nothing. We are going to see Cohen get picked off by Spadiga, so a little bit of progress has been made. Spooman is going to get another pick onto Nick Moop, and then Cohen is going to get downed and finished off by Spooman, so it's all up to Capsule here. He is going to miss a pick on the sledge and then get fried by Spadiga. So, unwinnable situation, basically, but he did kind of miss an obvious kill.
Yeah, it's still just really weird to me that Superlight lost that round. They had so much time in their favor and a 4v4 on defense for Bar. All you've got to do is sit back, you play those shields, those fortified positions you've already established, and make the attackers come to you. And instead, they kind of met them in the middle for some gunfights that didn't go their way, just handing over too many unnecessary fights. That really ended up costing them there. They're going to head downstairs for their third round. I kind of like that, right? You lose on a site, you don't want to go immediately back there. It's just it feels bad for the mental, and if you've got enough confidence on your other bomb sites, you might as well go to a site you're confident on as well.
I do agree. I believe that the way that round was won by Zelos is what we in the biz like to call task failed successfully. We're going to be seeing a defense of the basement here, snowmobile garage, and wine, and we have a Frost on the board, and she's going to sprinkle her gadgets around and just try to make it awkward to jump through windows. As you know, you can get it down for that, which is super powerful, or you can just make the attackers terrified of windows, which, seeing as Zelos already has a hard time getting in the building, that is a very, very W move if you're Superlight.
It's also Zelos is having problems getting into the building through their intel. They're not giving enough intel to follow up closely behind her or just get into the building. And frostbats that go undroned because you're not communicating well off of drones definitely give them a little bit more lethal and potency here. A very interesting roam setup coming out from Superlight, just kind of remodeling the entire middle and upper floor of the map so that they can play wherever they want and rotate out however they want. And they're still leaving enough people back here on site to deal with any kind of rush. But of course, Zelos not going to be going for that here. They don't want to gamble around in that sort of way when they feel like they can win it by just playing around out normally. So we're going to see a clear come out coming from, Solarium over some of these initial drones just finding out these operators.
We do see Capsule inside of the closet master bedroom. Wilson anticipates the peek from Floofs and gets the opening pick, the first the Zealots have gotten thus far. Pick is missed on the alibi, but it does give some good information. And nade is pull out in hopes of killing her if she is still inside of Piano, but she has retreated. Looks like she could re-enter office if she wants. Bronze off screen is going to take out Nick Moop as well. So already a massive advantage for Zealous, and we're not even a minute and a half.
Yeah, it's a very good kill to time investment here from Zealous. Just Superlight being way over aggressive with these positions. Zealous is a good enough team to have qualified for playoffs. They know how to find where you are. Although they did make a little bit of a mistake letting Kira live for that much longer, but Spoonman's going to be able to clean that up. And now it's just these two anchors, Capsule and Koyan. They've been very good for the side of Superlight. In fact, holding most of the kills for their team thus far. But they've got a monumental task in front of them as the weight of Zealous starts bearing down here upon the bomb site itself.
The thing about aggression is that when done recklessly, this is what happens. You need to give your opponent some amount of respect, as you usually can't just walk all over them. You need to play, you need to have some level of thought going in, not just swing the corner. We're going to see Mark pick up Coin, so it's all up to Capsule here, who's not in a good position, and he's finished off by Spooman.
Yeah, Zealous is starting to pick up on a lot of the mistakes that they were making in that first round and even into that second round. Just a lot of their drones coming alive more thoroughly. I think this is a good way to say it. They're being more proactive on them. They're not putting a large two-room space behind their drones. They're standing up behind them a little bit closer and aggressively forcing out these Superlight players. You got that confidence going for you now. And while Superlight has this sort of false confidence going for them, they haven't really had this roam work out successfully for the last couple of rounds. And now they get to go back to that one bomb site that they did win. We're going back to Kitchen, of course. And this is where we need to see that Superlight can play at a different style. The last time they won this site, they were just being insanely aggressive on the players of Zealous, and they tried to do that on the last two rounds, that bar and basement defense as well, and it didn't work. So if they try that same style that won them this site last time, and Zealous is ready for it, we could see them lose the only site they've won.
The thing about over-aggression, which that is what was happening on the first round, is it can work until the other team is not terrified of it. Because a lot of teams will take like a round or two to just feel out how their opponents are going to play, and then we'll see them steamroll. And while Zelos hasn't really been steamrolling, they saw that Superlight were going to play stupid aggressive, and they just decided to take advantage of it. Like the opening pick last round was waiting for a peek on a window. Right? They knew that window was going to be peeked, and if that's all Superlight's going to be doing this game. Might not end well.
Yeah, it's you gotta see a little bit more depth of field from Superlight. You gotta have more than just one strategy. That especially if that strategy is just run at them, you gotta bring out the playbook here. This is the playoffs. You don't want to lose that second chance that you have in the upper bracket, especially not in the quarterfinals when you're a top seeded team coming through here. Zelos shaping up their attack a little bit differently here too. I like the changeup, right? They got absolutely clapped off of the entrance last time. You readjust, you pivot, you play on these windows a little bit more. And you kind of shake up what Superlight knows about the game, and especially since Superlight's been feeling the pressures being down in rounds at the moment, you kind of make them second guess the decisions here, and these are a lot harder positions to get aggressive on. You imagine swinging out and there's two people repelled on solar windows, you might win the fight against one, but you're pretty much guaranteed traded on the other, so it's not really worth it to try swinging those.
Even if it is a one-on-one on a window, like, you can probably only see, like, the top of the window player's head, whereas they can see your whole legs. Like, it's not really going to do too much for you. If you're trying to pick it, we're going to see a couple players swing into Solarium. Nick Boop and Spadiga are both going to get picks here, so no real true opening kill comes out. We're going to see a player in Bathroom go to Owl, and everything's happening in Solarium. We do see the man advantage come out for Superlight here, but only just barely.
Yeah, it was a really good move by Cohen to just reinforce those upstairs players by running up the staircase late. Definitely bailed the Nick Boop out of a very dangerous position if he wasn't able to do that. But Zelos is successfully in the building here, something that they weren't really successful in doing the first time they were here. And they still have a full minute plus that soft breacher of the sledge to make this verticality work. So if they're able to let this verticality speak for them, we could see them be able to convert this site successfully, especially considering how much time they still have left on the clock. Of course, a couple of members from Superlight in positions to try and stop this, most notably that one roamer over towards main stairs, Nick Moop himself, just kind of lurking around and being in a position to stop the members of Zelos if they go for this normal defaulty take without really taking time to consider that he could be in that position.
Going into the last 30 seconds here is not much progress has been made since the initial upstairs was taken. They are going to try to get Cohen out of here unsuccessfully as he gets a kill through the vert. He is going to get picked up by Bronze though. Bronze starts peeking into the kitchen, although he doesn't expect the smoke to swing close. Mark gets a pick off screen, and then Kiru refrags. It's all left up to Mark here in the 1v2, as Kiru kills him with the M590.
Yeah,
oh
it's... I mean, Superlight at least gets one back to even out the scoreboard, and they win it in a different style than they did before, letting Zelos be the team that aggresses in them and collapsing upon that in the upstairs space, but... it's just definitely an interesting pace being set by Zelos. They're very slow, and I almost want to say methodical, but it doesn't seem like that method is being very visible just yet. Hopefully that's something they can warm up as we go a little bit further on in this game, but they've only got 2 rounds left to do it on the attack. They do have an even scoreline to their name, but if you think about Chalet as well, this map's traditionally pretty attacker-sided. Like, you expect 3 3s, 4 2s to the attack, and when you consider that Zelos chose to start on the attack as well, this is the side they said they're more comfortable on. You get a little bit concerning to see these even scorelines, especially in rounds that could be very winnable if you can just play around this aggression and anarchy that Superlight is trying to bring into the game.
Yeah, I do agree that I think Zelos has a method, I just don't know what that is. We haven't really seen it for one reason or another, a lot of which has just been the peeking coming out from Superlight, which they have appeared to have perfected that again, as last round they did it successfully. They didn't just overswing everything. They didn't decide to peek every angle at Superlight speeds, only most of them, which is the key difference here.
Yeah, it definitely felt like their swings were a little bit more calculated too. Like, if you saw what Cohen and Kiru were doing, they were swinging off of the intel and engagements that other people were taking, which is something they haven't done so far this game, instead of just, aggressively peeking everything because they feel like they can. So it's a good little change of pace, as is the spawn peek coming out from Kiro. He went for it the last time they were here, and he wasn't successful then, but he's going to be able to find Wilson now, and that kind of spells disaster for the Zealous entry before it happens, until Braun's able to chip one him back, picking up that Kiru player who spawn peeked earlier. So until that kill happened, they were in a pretty spot, just Superlight getting an advantage and really just throwing it away needlessly once again.
Yeah, I think he was trying to peek through holes that were above the trophy window, but that's also a very default thing to hold, and especially if you're just sitting right on top of it like he was, so a little bit of a poor play from his side, but those do happen occasionally. It looks like We have a Zofia stacked outside of library here as she's taking a pixel fight with Lomai inside a box, which certainly is a decision.
Yeah,
Maybe not the right one.
A decision is definitely a way to describe this. The Womai's just gonna step back, not take that gunfight, and go play his blue shield like he's supposed to on the setups, like a good little boy that he is. So yeah, this upstairs clear is definitely a lot better pace than the last time we were here. If you think back to round number 2, Zelos was just so slow on the entry that they just collapsed onto the site with the last minute remaining. When Nick Moop gets a kill like that, you're now at a bigger disadvantage than you were in that very blitzkrieg style ending that we had in round number 2. But it's a good shot by Spooman off of that upside down repel to get one back before Capsule trades it on the player trying to jump in that upstairs library. Big window as well. Another player just jumping in. You can't contest this angle when there's a guy underneath it like that. So Spadiga effectively in a 1 versus 3 at the moment until he's able to get that Finka boost and pick Spooman back up.
1v3 coming in here as previously stated, with Capsule taking a lot of heat, but Spooman also being basically a bullet away from death. Flutes is going to capitalize, and Spadiga is going to have to kill 3 people in order to win this round. He almost kills Lomai, but he has to pull back into covers. They all know where he is, and they're trying to frag him. Sitting inside a piano by the double door, we have several angles being taken, several cams being watched. Is they're gonna wait for him to come out, or just peek him, just kill him, just fry him, make him disappear.
That was a very nice shot there from Floops, just being able to thread the needle there. I don't know what was going on in the Zealous comms to just jump 2 people in through the library double window and just hope it would work out. That's an angle that everyone who plays this map in some competitive fashion knows to watch as an angle that the attackers at one point or another will just start flying through. So a little bit concerning that was their go-to instead of just doing the very default setup of breaking those upstairs shields to clear out the space. It's one of those things where you should have run it 1,000 times, especially on a map like Chalet. It's been around for quite a while now. It's not the newest member on the block, and the setups on that site in particular haven't really changed over that much time, so you should be comfortable with dealing with it. On this basement site, however, though, it's not been the most popular site for its entire existence. Obviously, only really coming to prevalence within the last couple of stages here for like the professional NA scene. So it's a little bit more up in the air how teams like to hold it. You get some things like the previous round where we were counting here for Superlight, where they roam the entire building, or in this repeat where they're bringing out 3 shields, which is not something they did before. I'm curious to see where they end up placing all of these and just choosing to hold the map.
I want to see if they, if Superlight keeps doing what they've been doing, where they've been playing very aggressively, but coordinated aggression. Like, I'm gonna bait this dude out, and then you're gonna swing the corner and fry him kind of aggression. Right? And shields are very powerful for that, is you can say, hey, you behind the shield, distract him, and then someone can swing a corner, or you can also just sit and watch them through the shield, and peeking one of those is almost never an advantageous gunfight that you should be taking.
Yeah, it's being on the other end of a shield gunfight's typically not where I imagine myself being on a Sunday evening like these Zealous players were probably in right now. They're going for a very similar initial clear to what we saw on their previous basement attack as well, just kind of taking the solar space, getting themselves in upstairs, and the members of Superlight are still roaming up here, so that they have the chance at least to capitalize on these roamers as they did in that previous attack up here. Hopefully we see a little bit more life come out from Superlight, just give up a little bit more space instead of needlessly taking quite so many gunfights here, but that remains to be seen as Zealous starts getting themselves into the building.
They haven't really accomplished much in the way of setting foot in the building. They've gotten several drones in the building, but all of them have been shot. They're down to 5 already, and we've only just passed the minute mark. Capsule is going to pull off here pretty much immediately and then regress a little bit, but he's trying not to waste his life.
Yeah, that's a good change up to what we saw from Superlight in the previous time, right? Instead of killing that drone and deciding to aggress past it, you kill it, you take a step back, and especially when the site's in the basement, you have so much room to work with, and you're right, Zealous hasn't really gotten themselves anywhere in the building yet, and the site is in that basement, and they're on rappels for the 2nd floor, so a pace going to need to be picked up here for Zealous if they want to find success in this round, and they do start getting themselves into the building, but it spells disaster for Bronze as he gets picked up by Kiru, who's playing on these Solarium stairs, just contesting into West Main. Mark grabs one back onto Capsule, so not all is lost just yet, and this gun duel for the roam of the map continues to just kind of ring forth.
We're going to have Kiru inside of Kitcheneer is going to be looking at the hatch. Mark is going to be down somewhere off screen. Oh, by jumping into a frost mat, actually, so what I said happens earlier. Don't drone the door. You could frost mat it. We're going to have the frost of floofs fall down into the big garage here to try to get back onto the site, with Kiro being the only one left upstairs to play this site, or to play the hatch, and to kill Spooman. We now have a 4v3 here for Superlight, as they do try to lock this one out and get a beautiful defending half.
Who grabs 3 for himself from Kitchen before Spadiga's able to clean him up, but now Spadiga's in a position where he has to find 3 more bodies if he wants to win this round for Zelos. You can see him just kind of being patient with it, and Koyan gives themselves up, so this is now significantly more doable, especially considering that Spadiga has 1 more Finka boost in pocket here to try and give himself that little bit of health boost as he starts sneaking down these main stairs. A good crossfire, though, established here by Superlight. Once they hear him start stepping down, he's going to be caught in a 180. Floofs is able to pick up that kill, and Superlight, they get a 4th on their defensive side here. This is the side that they didn't get to pick here. Zelos chose to start an attack, and falling 4-2 pretty early on is a little bit concerning here, but they do get this half reset to build off of, so they have a good chance here to just kind of reset their own momentum and get themselves back in.
I want to see how the aggression of Superlight's going to translate onto the attack, and I also want to see what Zelos can do when they're in the building instead of on the windows, because we haven't really seen a lot of that in the past couple rounds. There were attempts, but it was usually met with bullets or frost mats.
Yeah. Just a lot of very passive utility being brought from Superlight, and it kind of just enables how they want to play the game, right? They want to get aggressive with it, and just being able to put down your utility like Alibi and Frost, and then you can just take gunfights and not have to worry about it. You sick 1 person just on site with the smoke, and you say, good luck, we'll see you in like 2 minutes when we either win the round or we don't. But yeah, it's being able to take gunfights is just kind of the name of the game for Superlight, and that passive utility getting extra value is very nice to see as well. We get to see a couple of different ideas as well on this how to defend the map from Zelos. We're going to the 1 bomb site that Superlight didn't play at all. We're going upstairs, and we're bringing out Castle as well. This is an interesting site to bring Castle on for sure. You typically use Castle to like extend further out onto different sides of the map and cut off long lines of sight that the attackers want to use. And on this site, you just kind of end up slapping them all on windows and hoping that they don't get broken.
Yeah, it doesn't really take like a ton to break castle barricades, especially if there's a sledge on the board, which there isn't in this case, so it might be a little detrimental in that area. I like the sense being brought out as well, although I haven't really seen the sense being used on top floor all that much, so we'll have to see how that goes. Looks like primarily a solar and trophy side attack here, with some players outside of West Main as well, just for good measure, and to try to catch this Jaeger that's roaming in dining.
Yeah, the Solarium side take, not the most common thing. It was pretty common when the map first entered the pool, as the ease of execution, like understanding how this attack works, is pretty straightforward. You take Solar, you walk into site and plant. There's a lot of nuances, though, on the defensive side. You get players like Spooman's position here in Solarium towards that bathroom door that can be hard to remove, as Bronze gets the opening kill for his team there, just picking up Kiru, who was lurking through that West Main stairs earlier on, so just denying a little bit more of that trophy push there, so it's just going to slow them down just a touch more. Time shouldn't be too big of an issue here, but it's going to get exasperated as Spooman grabs his first kill of the round as well, and these members of Superlight are just struggling to get up into Solar here. This is the crux of their attack so far.
We're going to see several kills come out all at once, leaving Nick Moop in a 1v4 here. It's not impossible, but highly improbable. He does have a minute and a half to work with, so doesn't have to rush it. He can take his time here, but being a chunky 3-speed, he's going to have a hard time lugging himself around without actually getting spotted. He's going to go up blue stairs here and see if he can mount this attack onto Piano from that side of the map, but he does shoot the default cam, so they do have an idea of where he is.
Yeah, that bulletproof cam as well, being able to call out his position. They didn't step foot on this side of the map at all, so they don't really know what utilities out here. They didn't know this bulletproof cam or the shield and Piano was here. Obviously, you can make some assumptions about it, but you never really know until you come see it for yourself. These Senswalls just getting ADS'd away, stopping his progression into Piano as Nick Moop starts making his last trudge forward here. He's got 40 seconds to work with, and a couple of members on Zelos are rather low HP, but the spam through the wall is good, and Bronze is able to pick up the final kill for their team. And that was a pretty concerning attack, I think, from Superlight. Just trying to brute force your way into the building like that. It definitely fits with their idea of how they want to play the game, but it's not a very good thing to see just in general, right? It's not working for you so far. You've got to be able to have a depth of play to just around that.
The push was kind of halted whenever, like, it was almost like what happened with Zelos a lot, where people were had trouble getting to the areas that they wanted to be inside of. They did get in the building here, but as soon as they tried to touch anything that wasn't West Main Stairs, they all just kind of got fried. And then they left their, player with a DMR who's a three armor in a 1v4 that I think would have had the ace in order to win the round.
Yeah, it's yeah, an ace to win the round's never a good position to be in, but there's just too many holes right now in this Superlight attack. Obviously, they've only shown one, so I don't want to say like it's been a consistent trend for them so far, but it's concerning when you go for the simplest version of an upstairs attack that you can. There's not even any walls that you really need to open there, especially when you're running Ascends, and just struggling to complete step one of get into the building is a little bit concerning here. But we are going to the site that they maybe have a little bit more comfort on attacking, as Zelos is just playing it second. They're saying they're a little less comfortable being here, and they've got another interesting just set of operators here, as well as ideas that West Main to Trophy Wall being double reinforced, not the most common thing in the world. Neither is bringing Castle plus a zombie on this site, so Zelos definitely having some interesting and very unique ideas on how they want to defend a map like Charlotte.
It's also interesting that a zombie is roaming really far off site. Normally, going to see them put on more of like a lurky position where they're not on site, but they're in an area near the site that needs to be defended. Like you'll often see one in Piano on Cafe. So I'm really interested to see how that goes. We're going to see an attack coming out from library side here for Superlight as they use a Twitch to both destroy default cams and drone Kiro in here, killing 2 birds with 1 drone. We're going to see first come out on blue stairs as Kiro is so...
Oh my god.
Speaking, it's a double opening kill here as he kills both the Zero and the Fink of the attack, and then Wilson is able to pick up Nick Moop on the sledge, leaving Capsule and Cohen in a 2v5. And we haven't even hit the minute mark yet.
This is such a disastrous spot to be in. The Koyan getting on drones here is the first time that Superlight has touched drones since you mentioned them initially getting into the building. None of those gunfights were really on drones. Superlight just trying to dry peek all of these, and Zelos is a good enough team to be able to capitalize on that as you finally start seeing some utility at least getting used to as Koyan's looking to open up this office wall. It's just, pretty normal way to attack this site, but typically you have 5 people behind it, not just 2. And when you only have 2 people, players like Wilson are able to just hide behind the couch, and Bronze is able to get a very long-range shot there with the DMR. So now it's just Capsule left alive. He's got so many guns looking down in front of him. He's able to grab a couple of tags onto Bronze, but you gotta feel like this round is going to be over faster than he can try and start his comeback.
He's gonna try to snake his way around here to Piano to get a pick or 2, but no one's gonna bite. No one's gonna just try to swing him. He is gonna get the swing onto Wilson and get the first pick of this round for his team, but he's gonna have to ace to win the round, which, as we established previously, terrible position. Use the smoke to get the zombie gate out of his way, or Rudy gate, my bad. He's gonna try to peek into master bedroom here and into the closet, but it looks like everyone has gone down onto the side as they recognize that he doesn't really have any utility to open up the floor. So he's gonna get a lot of tags onto Spoo Man here, but Saul probably for not is... He's in a 1v4 still. They are gonna have pings on Spidiga, but Spidiga's just gonna swing and win the gunfight here, getting a brilliant 3k to give his team the round.
Yeah, this what a heroic play from Spidiga. I don't want to say anything else about it. It's just being able to exist in a spot where you have players below your staircase and above your staircase, and then just removing both of them. That's just such an insane mechanical play to pull off, and you got to give him credit in that department. They're looking pretty good here on their defensive reps. They didn't elect to go here as their starting side, but they're looking good on it so far. We're going to head into Bar as their tertiary site here. When your tertiary site's Bar, you got some pretty decent chances here, as this is normally most people's primary site, or at least it used to be. We've seen a couple of teams change that up in recent memory, but yeah, it's still a pretty solid site just overall. And once again, they're bringing that castle. So Zealous definitely leaning into this this castle being able to just chunk in section off of the majority of this map and really force Superlight into taking gunfights down corridors that Zealous is ready for.
Especially since Superlight hasn't really been bringing Sledge all that often, and he's the best at destroying those. You either have to sit there and punch them, which takes time, or use something like a grenade, or Hibana pellets, or a Gun 6. Things that you need to clear both blue and mezzanine, right? So it wastes a lot of good utility that the attackers are going to want to have on hand.
Yeah, that mezzanine clear that you're talking about is not actually going to be too much of a problem for them as well. Zealous only has one deployable shield, and it's going towards top blue. So the Mezzi player out here is just going to be existing with one Thunderbird Kona station and just kind of praying to whatever deity they believe in and hoping that the siege gods of RNG bless him today. It was just a very slow start to the round so far. Just nothing too surprising. The only real surprising show up here is bringing Buck over Sledges. Yeah, you mentioned Zealous is really leaning into Castle as an operator, and Sledge really direct counter to that. So it's interesting that they're not leaning into that yet.
We're going to have Kiru and Capsule making their entry into Piano. And Runigate is going to halt their progress, but they didn't look like they wanted to push much beyond that point anyways. They're going to prepare to get the shield that is on the top of Library Stairs here as Rooney looks to get aggressive on the window. Look, they're nading open the castle barricade, so that's one less nade that they have to clear the shield if they end up needing it. Which could, I mean, it could spell disaster. It might not. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, it's interesting that Zealous isn't bringing Wamaya as well, so that top blue shield is rather vulnerable to just being able to throw a ton of grenades and flashbangs at it. And well, Zealous is, or Superlight, excuse me, is not short on flashbangs in general, as Wilson's trying to duck away from some bullets, just being pushed around by some phantom pressure here. Superlight, of course, no one on that window so far. Spoonman just still playing in this top blue area, hasn't been pushed out yet as these flashbangs start flying through the Habana, just chucking them in from office. Spadiga grabbing the opening kill there with that nitro cell from kitchen below. So just some good information gathering there, basically playing off of the audio and existing in a spot that Superlight elected not to clear at all. And despite there only being 3 ADSs on the shield and them having 9 flash grenades, the shield still stands and the player behind it only dies because they stand up randomly.
I would also like to point out that Spadiga has broken 10 kills here. We're going to have a Wilson stuck inside of libraries. He has an LMG mounting on him, which is going to end up frying him. Bronze is also going to get picked off screen, and the player inside of stock is going to be next if Kiru could do anything about it, as he's also got 10 kills now. The last 2 players on the side of Zelos are spread out. Neither of them can play off of each other, and Smoke with the SMP is going to get fried by Cohen as he tries to pull out a smoke grenade, and then Floofs is gonna say bye-bye to the Thunderbird and Kitchen. Why does he have the... What? Okay. Slight choice aside, nice shot, but I'm deducting points.
Points can definitely be deducted from that. Just kind of on a lot of fronts. It's if you're playing Bar as a tertiary site and you're not really comfortable playing it, maybe step back on the innovation a little bit and let the kind of standard for the site shine forth. Not bringing a shield for Mezzi, not bringing a Wamai. A little bit concerning there, as well as Spoonman just kind of playing peekaboo over the top of the shield, kind of needlessly there too. You're just giving up a little bit too much for the fact of even including that Superlight failed on the utility front there. They brought everything they needed to break out those shields, those castle barricades, as you mentioned as well, but they burnt so much utility into those castle barricades, into a ruining gates, that they didn't really have what they needed to break out those shields, as we now get to see Zealous go back to this first site that they defended, which, very interesting, was this upstairs site, but it worked so well the last time we were here, as that Solarium take from Superlight, if you remember that, just didn't really get its feet off the ground.
Barely had its feet on the ground, arguably. I don't want to see that take again. I would much prefer a library side over, as it allows you to take and hold the ground a lot more efficiently, and the defenders also can't play vert on you.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. Just the very standard library side overtake. It's standard for a reason, right? Getting into library is the only difficult in quotes part of the take. Once you get past that point, you can do it pretty easily by playing around the windows and having good communication. You just gotta contest one person in piano and you win the round. So if you look at the solar take, you got players on this single or this double window master repel trying to cut the site in half, and the rest of your team trying to just brute force their way in through a small handful of windows, which is why you see players like Kiru and Capsule just trying to get their way up West Main stairs to just get in the map slightly more efficiently. And well, I think Spooman just getting run at on the Solarium stairs pretty quickly here.
We're gonna see Nick Moop get peeked from the display window here, as they know he's out there and they don't want to deal, though nothing's gonna come from it. The solar attack is going to start happening here as Cohen's on a window and Kiru is fixing to try to actually walk up the staircase, but he looks like he's a little afraid of some vert holes that are by bathroom. Spoonman's taking a lot of damage from an unknown source, probably the bathroom window here, as there is an LMG raining down on them that they are very afraid of, as a vert nade gets Wilson and then Braun's gonna refrag onto Nick Moop, so overall even trade here, but definitely going the way of the defenders in terms of utility take.
Yeah, the attacker's at least able to get into the building this time. We got a pretty much even trade there as Spadiga gets down. This wide swing not effective against Kira. The LMG just a little bit too strong. It does remove most of his health, but he's, well, that is the Finka player, so he's just going to hit that button a couple of times, get the health back. This upside down window repel that wasn't super effective in the previous round is going to be insanely valuable here, being able to pick up a bronze and being able to clean up Spadiga, who was down from that position earlier on. So now it's Spooman, that player that you called out as being incredibly low just from some early tags. He's got so many players left to find, a couple LMGs in there too. And well, the clock now starting to tick against him as the plant is confirmed onto the ground. The Finka player getting a little bit aggressive here. Spooman's going to capitalize on that. That's a very nice shot to hit there. And both of these players now on windows. Floofs does elect to get off of that as we get a little bit of calm here before he starts his retake.
A single bullet is all that's needed, or a flashbang, if they had one, would probably be enough to kill him at this point. He's going to try to get into the side here and get on the diffuser, which he does manage to find and get on, but he could probably be peeked from the solar window or just the player in solar who ends up doing it. Again, deducting points for the site, but good job not letting the bad men defuse the diffuser. Good job.
Bad man box on ground. Good. Yeah. Just a very simple round, and I kind of think that's what we needed to see out of Superlight, right? They're struggling on these high complication executions that are kind of needlessly complicated. They're just getting in their own way, it feels like. And so being able to just do something simply and solve simple problems, really leading to more success in this round. I think if you think back to the last time they attacked that site, the biggest issue for them was just getting in the building. So what do? They go to the easier way to get in the building. It's very simple to get in West Main, especially once you have people on that lower West Main staircase. So you take the simpler route, you avoid a lot of the problems that you had previously, and you're able to get yourself onto match point here. And we're going to Kitchen as the site to defend here. Last time we were here, Zelos did manage to win it out, but there's definitely a lot of wiggle room on this site for Superlight to be able to finesse a win out of.
The thing that a lot of people don't realize is that, like, the getting in the building is often the hardest part of attack. I mean, we saw Zelos struggle with it constantly. But by going with the route where they're pretty much guaranteed to at least get in the building, Superlight has already put themselves ahead of the competition, as they actually have a foothold to attack from instead of a window and some Reese's Pieces.
Never heard Reese's Pieces used like that, but a delicious candy and apparently a good siege attacking strategy here. The round is going to get started. Couple of castle barricades just being used on solar windows here, and Superlight spreading very far and wide across the map here as players scattered around just to the wind. Pretty much every direction the wind blows, there's going to be one of these players, so no real definitive attack or clear coming out here, just kind of poking and prodding at the entire map.
Sometimes that is the best way to see how I can get in, is just poke and prod, see where there's a weak point, and then try to stab that weak point with the vigor that I like to eat Reese's Pieces. We're going to have a late reinforcement coming out from the castle here inside of Solar, which is going to elect to cancel for whatever reason. There is a lot of ground taken on the mezzanine side here, so there is a really solid foothold here for an attack into Master and Office. But they also have to push that ground, which is usually easier said than done, especially with an angry Spidega looking at you, though he hasn't gotten the kill in a couple rounds.
Yeah, and just so much better of a pace being set here by Superlight. Only a minute into the game, well, they do give up, I guess, the opening kill to just the servers in general as Floof does disconnect. But yeah, they've gotten themselves a lot more established in the building here, and they have that ground that you talked about being hard to establish, and being able to spread from there is significantly easier as Capsule grabs the actual opening kill for Superlight to even up that man count that was thrown away by that server disconnection there. Nick Loop does get downed as well. Not quite sure how, I'm assuming from Wilson or Spiddiga there, but just some good entrances here coming out from Superlight as Quayan grabs another to just build space in the map.
Effectively a 3v3 here, although Kiru is recoverable, but it might be dangerous as Spidega could potentially get that peak. Capsule's going to get another pick onto Mark here. Kiru is going to try to get the revive onto Nick Moop as Capsule gets Wilson, leaving Spooman as the only player between Superlight and Matchpoint. He's going to be flicking between several angles here as he doesn't know where they're coming from. And he may not be old, but he does have the worst gun in the game here, meaning that he only has one of the two components necessary for a clutch. Kiru's gonna swing around the corner, Swimman's gonna get Capsule, and then he's gonna get Kiru. He has a 1v2 here. He could down Nick Moop with only a shot or two. So it's kind of a 1.5v1 here. He's gone into kitchen. He's gonna be flicking between the hatch and the doorway. He's not quite sure where the attackers are coming from yet, and they don't appear to be quite sure where he is either. They're droning with only 20 seconds left here, so Nick Moop is the only one with a gun up on the attack here. We're entering the last 15 seconds of the round. They know where he is. Nick Moop's going to get the wall bang, and that is map 1 going the way of Superlight.
Yeah, not the cleanest way to win if you are a seed 1 team coming into this tournament, but they make it work in the end. They collect that bowl of Reese's Pieces that you seem to really want at this point in time. But yeah, it's good to see them win their own map choice, but Zelos definitely put up a very good fight there. And it kind of just felt like they were able to make Superlight play poorly against themselves more than anything else, right? You put up a couple of castle barricades, they're not picking Sledge, and then all of a sudden they can't get in the building. So it's good on Zelos to be able to read into that. It's not something you can rely on, but starting to win these gunfights as you go into your map pick of Cafe, which is a map that you can't really get as aggressive as Superlight might want on. So there's definitely some room for improvement there, and we very well could see a map 3 come out here.
We absolutely could, and I would be down to cast Oregon again. It's not like it was every CL Qual stream that I was watching at any given point in time, but Chalet was also every CL Qual stream, so you give some and then you give some more with siege map picks usually, in T3 that is.
Yeah, you never get to see those really fun maps like Skyscraper theme parks, the ones that require complexity and depth of strategy, but we get to see a frag fest of a Chalet, so that's something. We're going to take a quick 5 to 10 minute break here before we get ourselves into our next map, which is Cafe. So don't go too far. In fact, bring more friends back with you. We're about 50 to 55 viewers right now. If everyone brings 3 to 4 friends, we get to see our producer and lead here, Andrew, wear a maid costume on the grand finals and do a little dance for everyone. So make sure you bring your friends because that's a spectacle that I want to see.
It is a spectacle that we all want to see, but a spectacle that happens later is break time. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Xenon Gaming Series playoffs. I am joined here by Mystrierik as we're doing Zelos versus Superlight. We're about to go into map 2, which is Cafe. The previous map we played was Chalet. So, Mystery, please kind of give us some backstory. What were your thoughts? What were your takeaways?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely got to see a couple of good points if you're either of these teams' IGLs, right? You're trying to read in how they play. Zealous has some ideas, some very creative ideas, and they're going to do things that aren't necessarily considered normal. So you're going to have to be able to kind of read into that, use that attacker repick phase of the prep phase to adjust your operator lineup to counter what they're doing. I don't want to see the side of Superlight being caught off guard by some castle barricades that you can answer by easily bringing the sledge. And on the other side, if you're Zealous, the biggest takeaway is that Superlight, they don't really care about your setup or anything that you've got going. They just want to run at you, whether or not that's with or without drones. So some operators like Mute and Mozzie are going to lose a little bit of value just because they're just not droning.
Yeah, it does make it harder to use an anti-drone strat when the Fink on the other team says, I can pick it. Which is not necessarily a wrong attitude, is she has one of the most powerful guns on attack in her hands, being that LMG, whose name I currently forget, in addition to being able to heal herself. So, drones aren't necessarily needed, but they do definitely help, is information is very bueno, in my opinion. So we're going to be starting the game here pretty soon, which means that we're going to be able to go into the operator bands and see what wacky, cool, quirky things we're going to not see this game.
Hopefully, it's probably going to end up just being the normal, boring stuff that gets removed here. Obviously, Mira very strong. Thatcher pretty relevant on this map as well. And you could see Valk get left up. That's I guess kind of cool to be left up into the game here. But we're gonna start getting these bans underway. Zealous getting the first attacker ban here, and it's just gonna be Thatcher gone. So very boring. Kind of not interesting. I want to see Superlight ban something crazy. Ban your own Finko away. Come on, do it. Just play on the information a little bit more. Show us that you got something. What the heck is that? So I got something up your sleeves to go for here. They're going to choose to ban out Flores, so the exact same attacking bans as last time.
I never saw that one coming. Not in a million years. We're going to see the first defense ban come out here from Superlight in about 6 seconds. I'm anticipating a Valkyrie, maybe a Mira. Maybe an Azami too. Azami's pretty powerful on this map. It's going to be the Mira, as I predicted. Who would have thunk? Never seen that one ban on this map before. I want to see an Azami ban here. Or I don't want to see an Azami ban, but it would be interesting to see an Azami ban, as she is very powerful on this map. We're going to see the Valkyrie banned instead, so more default.
Not only just default, this is literally the exact same bans in the exact same order as the previous game. So we're doing a very boring thing here where we just kind of repeat things over and over again, but at least the map is different here. We're going to see that in this first site. We're going all the way upstairs to Bar Cocktail, and look at those operators that Zealous is bringing out. They are doing the classic Latem cigar shop extension. That Mute player gonna just be trying to exist in that space for as long as they can. It's finally something interesting really happening here from a setup perspective that Superlight can't really ignore, because cigar is such a pivotal area on the map that you have to contest.
Cigar is both terrible to take and almost necessary to take, is you can be shot from that location and you can shoot dudes from that location. And having a player inside of there is nothing revolutionary, but always a pain to deal with, especially if your team doesn't know what grenades are. And I'm not entirely sure that Superlight does yet, as they didn't really have the greatest utility usage on Chalet, at least in my opinion. So I want to see how they take care of this, how they do with this, but we're gonna have to see.
Did they reinforce that hatch? Did Zealous reinforce the cigar shop hatch?
I think it was so he couldn't get grenaded from below,
Huh.
but that's also a very strange move.
It's also strange to put a shield on that hatch and then have the Aruni play in there instead of a character with a shotgun. So some very interesting ideas, to say the least, coming out from Zealous, as well as those top red feet holes. So these players on Superlight definitely going to have a lot to deal with, just even as they try to get into the building here. And as you said in that previous match, it sometimes feels like getting into the building is 60 to 70% of all you need to get done to win a round on the attack these days, especially with how much utility you can have if you're throwing it properly. So the Zelos definitely getting themselves set up to just deny every entrance to the building from the roof here.
That is certainly a way to do it. I actually like the feed holes on red, as it frees up 2 entire reinforcements and also makes people really uncomfortable to drop that hatch, which is oftentimes the kind of default entry point for this side of the map. I also like the Alibi playing right near the broken hatch inside a piano, as it'll waste some time and the Alibi can get on a dime if they need to, although they actually are going to take it pretty much immediately and fall down the hatch, it looks like, as a lot of the windows around them have been broken, so Alibi is just going to wander around train and maybe do some vert with the shotgun, maybe not, but just try to be a general nuisance.
Yeah, you mentioned those extra reinforcements that you get from leaving those top red walls unreinforced. Not really a big issue for Zelos, as they have 5 in pocket still, but the opening pick does go to Superlight. That dropped red hatch player just being able to find the opening kill on that deployable shield and cigar setup. Spookman does manage to trade it back before Attack grabs a second one for themselves. So Superlight establishing a man advantage, but it's about to go away as Wilson hits a very nice shot on Dekiru as his roam comes back to sight. Attack grabs 3 though, so still being very lethal on this Finka, doing what Zelos was unable to do with Finka, just get aggressive at entry into the building with him.
Getting a 4th kill here as he's on track for an ace, and he gets it! First round, they already have a rival getting an ace, and an all-impact ace as well, as they win the first round, and what a way to make an entrance after not playing in the first map.
Yeah, it's definitely that's one way to do it. You know, don't throw your utility, don't try and break that cigar shop shield, just drop the hatch and fry the dude on it. Who cares if you can just win the gunfight, apparently. So you know, it's a little bit concerning that Zelos is investing that much utility and not getting too much from it. But we are going to head to Kitchen, that first floor site that you really talked about in the pregame. Just a site that you can't really ignore the entirety of the map, right? You can try and just exist on this first floor, but if you surrender all of this vertical space to the attackers, you're really going to struggle later once they start getting the verticality open and forcing out a lot of these positions on site, since the majority of site is disruptible.
You can indeed try to bunker down on the site like, oh, that joke was bad, I'm not going to make it. So now that that beautiful comment from myself is over, I want to see both of these teams try to utilize the upper floors here, as the defense can waste a lot of time doing it, and the attack can get a lot of it with vertical play, as Mystrierik, or words are hard, alluded to.
Yeah, it's okay. My name is one of the hardest things to pronounce in T3 Rainbow Six. I don't blame you on that. But yeah, you don't really go upstairs. Your site setup could really fall apart into Reese's Pieces pretty quickly if you're kind of unaware of that. Superlight is going to be contesting this vertical space, though, just getting that roam clear started. And, well, we said that we didn't really want to see it. It seems like a lot of members of Zelos are sitting around on site. Very notably, though, Bronze in this early aggressive position in a spot to really deny any team start just going for a bakery only take. But Superlight not really committing to that so far, just droning out this upstairs space, finding Bronze, and, well, Kiru was going to win the opening there, so no back-to-back aces available for Rival, but yeah, who cares? Your team's waking up, you're getting into the building.
Bronze lives up to his name with the spawn peak almost 40 seconds into the round, and then subsequently getting shot in the face. We're going to see Rival get a pick onto Spadiga as well, so that's quite a bit of utility and people taken off of the board immediately, as Spadiga is going to look to get aggressive on White Stairs and then immediately run away, as they have guns on the attacking team, and he doesn't want to get shot by them, as Red Stairs being heavily contested by Rival as well as Floofs.
Yeah, the guns from Superlight too right now, I don't know if I'd really want to be peeking them. They seem very comfortable on this map, just knowing where these defenders can be playing around. You see that drone coming out to confirm the position of Wilson as well. This is where we need to see Superlight start to use their utility and really crack this surrounding hold, especially since the surrounding hold right now is just a player in small bake and this one in coat check. You should be able to clear them by just using your utility well, and well, when Kiru's holding 2 grenades in a spot that he can't really throw them into coat check and not checking small bake's going to lose some extra health there. They seem just to be jumping the gun a little bit more, as Zelos is getting very aggressive with it. Spookman retaking his way all the way into Whisking to kill Kiro.
going to be taking a gunfight with the player on VIP in just a second here, although he's actually going to get out and then he's going to get shot from the vertical play that was being held by a rival. Retake happening on the red stairs, but rival reads into it and shoots him in the face here. We have Wilson in a 1v5, which is not going to win as Capsule just taps him.
Nice. Yeah, Superlight just brute forcing their way through the top floors of the building. Zelos not really having a way to keep them out, right? Those setups, that creativity that they had on Chalet, just not really present here on Cafe so far to just stop the aggression that Superlight is bringing out. And a lot of that, I think, is just due to the fact that Superlight's kind of feeling themselves right now. They warmed up on that first game, and they're going at full force ahead right now. And it's very hard to stop a team like Superlight that's so frag focused if your guns aren't firing back. And Superlight's confident enough to do, I don't know, dropping hatches and frying people off of shields maneuvers. It's just very hard to fight against a team that's that confident in their own gun skill.
I think it's also worth mentioning that I'm pretty sure Superlight were playing with their coach on the first map. Which, because Nick Moop, I'm pretty sure he was the coach that I interviewed the last time I casted them. Right, he didn't do poorly, but there is certainly an advantage to having, like, a player in the lobby versus a coach. Not that Nick is bad. Again, I think he did excellently. But I think it's safe to say that Rival might be doing a little bit better than he was. It's also worth mentioning that Zelos have no strats for Chalet. So they were winging it and shooting dudes, right? Which meant that there was no structure for Superlight to take advantage of and, like, exploit. Whereas now there's a game plan for Zelos, and Superlight is making their mission to ignore that game plan, and that shield is gone, and no utility's been used. So I'm not quite sure what's going on. I'm scared.
I think Rooney punched the shield. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure Rooney punched their shield and broke it there. So that's very unfortunate to start. Yeah, you're right, especially when attack rival, this brute forcing his way into the building, being that entry menace that Nick Moop wasn't able to do. Yeah, I like that you gave him credit, though. He was doing his job. His job was very different to what Rival was doing, right? He was playing more like flank watchy, just filling in on supporting roles. But yeah, Rival getting into the building, being this aggressive and winning literally every gunfight they've been a part of so far is something that you can't really replace that easily. And, well, we finally get to see Zelos grab an opening kill. It's on a very cheeky run out there from Wilson. It's good on Zelos to at least grab one before Capsule trades one back.
Capsule's living up to his name and capping fools before Kira gets another pick, and then Wilson refrags him. So we're seeing a flurry of kills to go back and forth here, although it is pretty arguable, or you can argue that the utility that has been lost has gone the way of the defense in terms of losing less things here. We're going to see Wilson make his way onto top white stairs. His rival is going to be killed for the first time this game by Spidiga, who's going to continue to aggress here towards Piano as the entire wall is open, so he could potentially catch someone through it. But Coin says no and puts his team in a 2v2 with 1 minute left.
Oh, why did he over-aggress, man? If Spidiga just exists in that new balcony area, Zelos would be in such a good spot right now, and there still are in a relatively speaking good spot, as there's no fragmentation grenades on the side of Superlight to kind of break this hold here, but they've got a couple of flashbangs and some of that Hibana utility to work around here and trying to force these defenders out of position. But you see the last two members of Zelos, Wilson and Mark, just kind of being bros on the other side of the map. They're sitting still. They understand that Superlight has to come to them, and they have to put the box on the ground. They didn't open default as well on the defensive side, so if he chooses to plant there, it's going to be very hard to stop that plant from going down. His Capsule made his way all the way up into the back store area, and Koyan as well, just walking up through the bar. They just decide to take the gunfights. Well, you're winning gunfights as frequently as Superlight is. Sometimes that's a viable strategy.
I don't even want to call it a viable strategy, because it's just like aim labs and mouse 1 that's happening. We are going to have a pause come out here for reasons. So, interested to see what happens with that. But just like, I think actually the fact that there's strategy in the setups being used here. I think the strategy that's being implemented here is actually hurting Zelos here. Is when they were just kind of running around and playing it like a pug stack, there wasn't like a strategy that could be broken, right? They were just kind of doing stuff and very off the wall stuff as well. So there wasn't as much of a deliberate way to break the meta that Superlight could take advantage of. But now that they have a crazy fragger in terms of rival and several players who have a lot of clutch potential and the strategy to exploit, Superlight's just kind of going ham. They haven't lost a round yet. Rivals died once compared to killing 8 people and damaging another. It is quite something what we're witnessing here. It is not something that I've casted before, at least not often.
Right, yeah, and I kind of think, yeah, I agree that having no strats means that they played better because if you look at how Superlight's still just not droning, if you do things that are unnormal, unnatural on a map, just because you don't have anything pre-planned on it, you can get around a lot of the presumptive knowledge that Superlight is trying to operate on here, and you can get into positions that they're not necessarily ready to take gunfights on. Whereas if you're running these very I don't want to say generic. It's not every day you see this cigar extension, but it's very well-known setup. People should be aware of that if you're playing a map as common as Cafe here. You gotta have a little bit more depth of knowledge or the understanding of how to go against what Superlight is doing here. And right now we're not seeing that level of adaptation out of Zelos. The closest thing we saw to it was just Wilson jumping out of I can't speak today. The dining window to just get that early kill and catching people doing random things in the basement. But we're not seeing that level of confidence. We're not seeing that level of hiding in the darkness that they were doing on Charlie.
I think we also can't ignore the mental aspect. Whilst it was like a close-ish game, Superlight did still win, and the rounds that they won were generally bullying or losing the round and then bullying the round to victory, right? Like, it wasn't...
Right, yeah.
There wasn't a whole lot of clean gameplay for Zelos on that map. Like, there's not a whole lot where they can say, yeah, well, we lost the map, but at least this one hold was really good. And given the fact that it didn't have strategies at all, like, it's also not the easiest thing to say, well, at least the strategy we had was good, because that was probably accidental. We just see the same push here coming out from Superlight that we've seen for the past few rounds that this side has been attacked as, why change it? It's been working. Even when Rival hasn't been killing everyone. As he didn't kill anyone that last round, and they still won. So, well, I'm interested to see how this goes. I think Zelos can start to pull it back, but they have to put a lot of work into it.
Yeah, I think they also need to be changing up some fundamental aspects of their defense that just haven't really been panning out for the cigar hold. They've gone for it twice now. This is the third attempt at it, and they've got zero value out of it so far, and they've just been conceding bodies early on. Right now, though, it seems like they're getting some extra time for it, as these attackers are slowed down from entering the roof, at least for the time being, as Bronze is going to be starting to take these engagements here shortly, as these players are dropping the hatches. Capsule starts working their way into Minibar, and Wilson on that Pixel Shield, as well as these Chichanka Shumika launchers starting to come out. Capsule does pick up Bronze, though, so this is Cigar play not panning out again.
He's gonna get another pick on Spadiga as well, which every time I say that sounds more and more like a Pokemon. Well, this is picked off, so Castle Barricades are gonna be that little bit more annoying, a wasted Kiba barrier coming out here, and the next one's gonna be used to block off Pixel doors. A retreat can be made all the way back to planks. We're encroaching on the minute mark here, and Tachanka is still alive with a solid amount of utility, so he can waste a ton of time here. He can be very liberal with his utility usage, and going to deal quite a bit of damage, although there's still a lot of utility on the attack to take care of this defense, and probably going to stay that way.
Yeah, 50 seconds left now. These Shimikas are putting a little bit of a dent into the defense, and some bad timing lets Wilson escape there. But Superlight's just being very patient with it and trying to find out these players, as Kiru manages to grab one before being traded out by Wilson, but Capsule's holding the angle. Mark tries to work his way around up towards this pixel space, but he does not have enough bullets if Capsule does. So Capsule grabs himself a very nice 4K there, and they're just, as you said, they're just really bullying Zelos around here. They've got that 5th member back in their lineup. They understand what they need to get done on paper to actually work into the site and put the box on the ground. And yeah, Kiru pushing that space in backstore as well. It's just very well coordinated, and you can see the intention behind their plays here, which is not really something we saw them able to do on a map like Chalet, right? When we saw them just kind of scrapping through all these kills, now it seems like they understand what's going on. They're making assumptions about the setups, and it's paying off dividends for them.
It's paying off a little bit more than dividends. This is a robbery. It's I keep wanting to compare it to Phineas and Ferb, but that's a terrible comparison. What we're seeing from Superlight is great. Like, obviously, but like, first, Rival was walking in the building and killing 3 people each round. And now Capsule is walking in the building and killing 3 people each round.
Capsule still hasn't died, too.
And so Kiru, like, just pushed really aggressively into the freezer room in the last round, which one could see as reckless, or it also perfectly set up Capsule to get the refrag. Like, Superlight is willing to make aggressive plays, even if it means certain death, because they know that their teammates are going to get the refrag, and that kind of trust is so hard to build, and when it's built, it is so powerful.
Yeah, it's definitely been a very potent factor here for Superlight. And yeah, you see these players just being able to get aggressive. Obviously, Floofs has died 3 times, but I can't remember a time that he's died without being traded out by a member of his team. So yeah, there's that confidence to be able to just walk in and take a fight that you might not win, but your teammate will. A very large amount of damage being done to Bronze early on. Definitely living up to his name in the KD department right now. Not participating in this game pretty much at all in the kills department. As we see Superlight starting their upstairs clear here. The setup that was castled off earlier has been broken down, as they are playing a pixel shield, but with no one behind it, it's effectively not real, as the members of Superlight are just going to be able to walk up and take the space.
About as real as the Yana clone that ended up droning it out. We are going to have Spooman sitting inside of Cocktail looking into Freezer, which they set up to hold, but didn't put someone inside of. We're going to see Kiru get the opening pick onto Mark here, so early advantage taken without any immediate trades coming out. Kiru's going to get another pick onto Spooman as he tries to retreat back to site here, so a significant man advantage being taken by Superlight, and they've cleared the entirety of the top floor in less than a minute and a half, and they have a 5v3 here. The side is going to start doing some vertical play onto the site, as we're going to see a player in Pillar get almost fried by Rival before being fried, and then Floofs picks up his first kill of the game, leaving Wilson in a 1v5 stuck in the red train car. He's not even going to get one, and his Capsule just drops a hatch and fries him. Oh no!
Oh no. This is, it's not looking good for Zelos. I'm sure you can say Superlight picked the side of the map. It's all good. We'll win it. We're confident in that. But it's the defense side of Cafe. You expect to win 3 to 4 rounds here, and you're down 5-0 at the moment. And Superlight is just bullying you off of every single site choice. At this point, I just want to see them go mining, dining, and pray that Superlight has a couple of brain aneurysms and not know how to attack the site. But yeah, they need something miraculous to go for them here, and I don't know how much I think this is the right call. They're gonna go kitchen. Hopefully, they invest significantly more in this room, because the last time we were here, Superlight had absolutely no problem in time or kills getting to the first floor of the map. I believe they had like 2 minutes going for themselves in a 5v3. You got to do something to stop that kind of pressure, because with a team like Superlight, if you give them the man advantage, you give them enough time, they're just going to find where you are by dry peeking you and murder you out of your spot. So you really need to try and deny that by getting in their face and slowing them down as much as possible.
The common wisdom, which I'm not saying that this is wrong wisdom, but the common wisdom is to kind of slow things down when you have a man advantage. You know, don't lose that. You know, let the defense peek you, or let the side that's in the disadvantage peek you, because they probably will. to try to get the man advantage back. But the thing is, Superlight knows that Zelos have to do dumb things when they're in a significant man advantage because they just have to do something to get the man advantage or to get the man count back. So they take advantage of that and they get aggressive first. Right? They get aggressive on those people who are trying to make desperation plays. And then the play just ends up getting them fried because Superlight knows you're going to peek. They know you have to peek. So when you peek them, they just peek you first.
Yeah.
And it's that kind of confidence and willing to put yourself in the advantage and then keep going. That's the reason we're sitting 5-0 here.
Yeah, it's I'd kind of describe it as like a tempo interruption. Zelos trying to get tempo back in their favor. You just really interrupt it directly and just hold on to it and exasperate how much you can actually make happen here. We're a minute into the round. And this is already a marketable improvement for Zelos, especially when Tiggy grabs that opening kill. Just being able to slow them down enough. Wait, that was a kill on the first floor, so I don't know what Capsule was going for there. His unkillable streak is ended in round number 6, but that's still a lot of damage he's done so far. But Zelos, for the first time, really having an advantage here in both the time and manpower departments, especially when Koyan gets tagged up quite a bit there. Bronze gets the damage traded back on him, so it's not quite a true damage advantage, especially when Rival just kind of drops into the pillars area and cleans you up. It's becoming a little bit scarier here as these last couple of players, just Zelos on the room, are completely isolated from the rest of their team.
They know about where Wilson is here, and they have the players in positions to completely surround him. Kiryu's going to try to take the fight, and the fight's actually going to be won by Rival, shooting him through the walls. We have our first double digits of this game, only 6 rounds in. We're going to see an attack mounted onto White Stairs, heading into Christmas, and then Coat and Whiskey, as Kiryu is pushing extremely aggressively off of the information from the drone, and this is beautiful entry work. Take notes, chat. Trust me, bro.
Oh yeah, the biggest thing you could take away from that is just his spacing behind the drone. That was like perfect. As soon as that drone calls someone, he can peek it, but it's almost not as good as Spadigga's ability to fight back through the floor, but it's going to be proving irrelevant as the members of Superlight just directly walk into sight. They got enough information. They knew where he was playing because he was shooting up through the floor, and well, Rival's just on something else right now, just being able to outfrag them. A flawless 6-0 half here for Superlight to start out Cafe. Zelos now face 6 match points that they must win all of if they want to stay in the upper bracket here of the playoff.
Something that I talk about quite a bit, that I'm going to keep talking about, not out of laziness, but out of it being relevant, is that when you're down 6-0, going on to a disadvantageous side, it messes with your head. Like, you're sitting there like, if I mess up once, my team loses the whole game. If I miss one gunfight that I peek too aggressively, my team loses. And so you get into a position where you're kind of scared to make plays. You're scared to go for the plays that your team might actually need. And so Zelos has to face that for 6 rounds.
Mm-hmm.
And Superlight have the opposite effect where they're like, dude, we have 6 rounds we can throw before we go to overtime. And they brought a Cav.
On floofs.
There's...
The guy's not doing well.
They fear nothing.
Man, these operators from Superlight definitely lean into what you're talking about. Let's just look at it. Ella, Oryx, Alibi, and Cav, they're having a good time, and you can kind of see that in how they're playing too, right? They understand how to play this map. I'd argue better than what they showed on Chalet, but yeah, they understand what's going on. They know how they want to do it, and they're just in such perfect sync that they're allowed to do things like this just because of that advantage that you talked about. And they might end up losing this round from those operators, but you're having a good time. The comms are high, and Zelos is, yeah, as you said, they're breathing very stressful air right now. If you make any mistakes, if you get caught by nitro cells on these hatches, that sometimes does end up happening, it could spell disaster very quickly. So definitely trying to be patient out here and understand what's going on before you enter is going to be a very valuable thing for them here, as they've got to start using these drones, but a lot of them lost already before they even try to set foot in the building. 6 drones left and 2 minutes left to go in the round.
Breathing the anti-Joule air at that joke did not land at all.
I got it. I got it.
Breathing the same air that they put inside of the ads that tell you not to do jewels is definitely not good if you want to win the game. And the fact that an Ella and a Cav were brought in the same round and it's working so far is also not going to be great for your mental if you're Zelos. The first pick is going to go the way of Kiru, as he kills Spadiga, so one of the better players on the side of Zelos so far is dead. Cohen's going to be the next to fall here as he gets killed by Bronze, as the last person to have not died in this game has just been killed. Wilson's going to be playing below the train hatch, hoping that someone's going to have a little bit of sloppy movement that he can take advantage of, but so far, nothing has really happened.
Yeah, these members of Superlight just holding their position and making Zealous be the team that has to aggress into them because, well, they are the attackers. By default, they have to be the ones making aggressive plays here, and Rival position now known, but it's Rival playing in a very good spot to deny the hatch, and he's supported by Capsule here too. He's not playing alone. We see Wilson trying to make his way up the staircase, but these players on the hatch are still just throwing drones at the problem. At some point, you have to get in. Floofs gets a kill with the pistol, baby. Rival grabs one as well as they try to drop out of the hatch. Capsule taking gunfights with people still on the roof. Bronze grabs once. That's Rival, and all of these players on Superlight are now actually one-tappable from any of these guns, so Zealous still stands a pretty good chance in the round, but they've got to get a move on. The time is drastically working against them, and well, Floofs is on that Cav. Might be a little scary. Kiru just wins the gunfight up vertically through the hatch before Capsule gets taken out. Bronze now, he's got a 0.5 KD. He's gonna improve those numbers a little bit more, but Cav goes huge. You can't hear her coming. That pistol hits like an absolute truck, and Superlight, off the back of some incredible Caviera play, thrust themselves forward in the upper bracket.
You know, like those movies, like the sports movies where the team will get pummeled in the first game and then they win the championship?
Yeah.
This is like that, but if it was written by George R.R. Martin and all of the main characters died halfway through. That's
a good analysis, yeah.
There was a Kavera and an Oryx and an Ella brought all at once. There was no strategy in that lineup that was just, hey bro, watch this drive, right?
Yeah.
And it worked flawlessly. That was a flawless game. On a map that, in the break, Ricky was saying was not going to be good for Superlight, as it's a more strat-heavy map. However, I guess if you have a Kavera and a dude named Floofs on your team, you could just do whatever you want and it's fine.
I really wish I had a whiteboard behind me that I could draw that incredible Caviera strategy, but I think I can explain it pretty well. Imagine one bubble that says pick Cav and another one that says win. That's pretty much what we saw there in terms of like the strategic depth in that last round, and well, it worked out. They were definitely feeling themselves very confident in that last game, and I guess I want to say that's kind of a little bit of a statement to send to the other teams going forward here, but we are going to actually be able to get statements from them pretty soon, as we do have an interview coming up. We're going to take a quick break before that though, so don't go too far. Grab yourself a bowl of Reese's Pieces, and we'll see you in about 5 minutes.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Xenon Gaming Series Playoffs. We just watched Superlight beat Zelos in quite spectacular fashion, and we do have the coach of Superlight, Nick Moop, here, who's labeled as Row for some reason, but ignore that. Row plays for Leviathans, and I believe that Ricky had a couple questions that he would like to ask.
Yeah, I'm really glad that we've got you here as being the coach of Superlight, because I want to kind of inquire about some of the strategy we saw come out on Cafe. Very specifically, in that last round, we saw a Cav play, and I really liked that just from like a tactical standpoint, right? You obviously use the silent step, you're quiet, it's a little bit harder to hear. Plus that pistol on putting it on like one of your worst performing players on the day. What's kind of going through the players' heads in that point to come up with such an incredible strategy like that?
I mean, if we're being perfectly honest, we know Leviathans are watching the stream to prepare for next week, so we're not showing any strats if they pick the map. So
maybe
we're
they'll
just
ban Cav.
yeah,
Hopefully.
please.
Yeah, Velocity does really like his counter-stratting, as he and I have actually worked together quite a bit in the past, and he went on and on about wanting to do his counter-stratting in League, so that is a very good call on your part. But I gotta know, what were the comms like on Cafe? Because there were several rounds that looked like unwinnable or encroaching on unwinnable, and you just like ended up gunfighting your way out of it, and then people picked me and operators, which was obviously to hide strategy, but what were the vibes like? What were the comms like during that entire thing?
I mean, for us, mental really, even though we're down and around, you're never out until the round's over. So, I mean, obviously you have to change the way that you play in the round in order to come back. But at the end of the day, as long as you don't mentally think that you're out of the round, you have a chance to come back, and we have the fragging capability to come back into any round or to dominate any game. So we're never down on ourselves, even if we're down, 1 man, 2 man, 3 man. Every round is every round can be brought back if the opponent misplays even a little bit.
Yeah, I kind of want to touch on your performance, because obviously we saw you step in on Chalet. Being as a coach, what's it like trying to fill in that position, especially for a player like Rival, who is one of the best entries we've seen in this league just in general? What's it like trying to step into that role and try and get your team to move forward with you on that position?
Well, unfortunately, I blow. I haven't played the game in a while. I had to come out of retirement to play this game. Retirement. We had Rival was like 30 minutes before the game. He's like, yo, I'm playing an Xbox Go Forward. Do I have to show up to the game? We're like, nah, we got map 1. Don't worry, you can show up for map 2. And we had map 1, just like we said. I didn't even need to play. I mean, we had Floofs DCing twice, playing 4v5 rounds. I had like 3 kills. I mean, we're fine. We knew we were good.
That is quite the confidence, and I respect to let the men play as Gopher, let the men have a good time. So one thing that I was kind of speculating on that I think is a big part of the reason you did so well on Cafe is that on Chalet, Zelos had no actual strategies they were implementing. And I think that a lot of the reason your playstyle works is that you're able to kind of break apart strategies that people want to follow by just killing people. And when there's no actual strategy to break apart on the other team, it's much harder to do that. So do you think that's a little bit of what was going on? Or do you think there were other factors that contributed to a much better Cafe than Chalet?
On Chalet, especially, a lot of kills were out of players' controls, whether it be just wall bangs or, aggression that just wasn't expected at times. I mean, it happens, you adapt, you come back, and we ultimately won the map, even after being, teeter-tottering back and forth. And obviously, like I said before, I suck. We didn't have Rival. If Rival was in that map, it probably would have been 7-0 as well, let's be real. Rival had, I don't even know how many kills on Cafe. I think I was asleep after like round 2 in the call. I told them I had to take a nap. I'm old, My age starts with a 2, unfortunately. All of theirs begins with 1, so I'm like an ancient memory to them. They're like, you can go to bed. We'll wake you up when the game's over. I was like, all right, you guys got it. Don't worry.
I love that confidence. We kind of want to give you some space to talk to any of the people watching, people supporting you, people that you're going to be facing down the lines. Obviously, you brought up a little bit of a grudge with the Leviathan, so if you want to speak your mind on any of that now, please go ahead.
Leviathans will win less rounds in the series next week than Zelos won today. So 4.
Ooh.
They'll win less than 4 rounds in 2 maps.
Wow.
Okay. I admire the confidence there. We do have one burning question here on the desk that we must ask you before we let you go. M&M's or Reese's Pieces?
M&M's. And I don't even think it's close.
Well, Fair enough. Thank you for showing up to this interview with us tonight. Congratulations on your 2-0 victory that was done in such dominant and beautiful fashion, and good luck on your game against Leviathans.
Yeah, we will be back on Sunday, I'm sure, for another spectacle.
I hope so. This was fun.
Yeah, we'll see you guys then.